Welcome into the Boston Sports Summit. My name is Tim, and this is the show that talks all Boston sports. Patriots, Pats, Red Sox, Bruins, baby. That's right. You get the big B shirt right here. All right. It's been a rough go for them. But first, we have massive news coming out on Sunday. If you haven't seen it yet, it is in the Instagram video, as you can see, if you want to follow my Instagram and all the socials right here, Boston Sports Summit. And so big breaking news as I saw on Sunday, Mike Vrabel is now the head coach of the New England Patriots. And honestly, I couldn't be more excited about it. I think having Mike Vrabel as the head coach of these New England Patriots will be the thing that will help, get the Patriots back. Not necessarily like I want 6 Super Bowls in 20 years. Like I want that. But he will come in and be able to have a system. He will be able to build his regime on what he wants and how he wants it. He's going to build that culture that this team honestly desperately needs. I mean, the amount of entitlement that has come from this New England Patriot team this last season has been astounding in the worst way possible. Because and Vrabel even mentioned it himself, and I'm going to get to that video in just a minute. But the way Mike conducts himself, he came from New England. He played for New England. I think we all love the fact that he's a New England guy, not from New England, but playing from New England and all that, winning 3 Super Bowls, catching multiple touchdown passes in those Super Bowls. I mean, the dude was the best, and at both the linebacker and tight end position, just 10 catches, 10 touchdown passes. You'll love to see it. But he's the type of guy that I want in right now. Like, don't get me wrong. I was on the Ben Johnson bandwagon. I wanted Ben Johnson just like everybody else. I think it would have been great to have Ben Johnson with his innovative, offensive mind, what he wants to do. But at the same time, we don't know what his culture is going to be like. We don't know what Ben Johnson is going to bring in terms of being the next head coach. And that's crucial. And that is something that Mike Vrabel was able to demonstrate. And it's funny to hear a lot of people like losing their minds being, he's not going to be able to develop the quarterback. He's not going to be able to develop Drake Maye. Look at what he's done in the past. And it's like, yes, look at what he's done in the past. Instead of looking at the numbers, which I know all you nerds just love to do, is throw numbers left and right at me because, numbers tell the whole story. No, they don't. Stop coming at me with these freaking numbers and look at what was actually going on in Tennessee. What was going on in Tennessee was the fact that Mike Vrabel had Ryan Tannehill as his quarterback. Ryan Tannehill, folks. And if you want to sit there and tell me that Ryan Tannehill is a viable quarterback in the NFL, I'm going to look at you like you have 10 heads. Because, sure, did he get the job done? Was he, above average for 1 year? Yeah, I'll give him that. But so wasn't Trent Dilfer. So wasn't Brad Johnson, both of which won Super Bowls off stellar defenses and a heck of a running game. But when you look at Ryan Tannehill, he made it to the AFC Championship on the back of Derrick Henry. That's why they got to the AFC Championship game. And that's Mike Vrabel's MO. The dude is just a ground and pound beast. Yes, I will give him that. That's what he probably wants to do. But at the same time, that's what he had to do. Because you're not going to let Ryan Tannehill drop back 40, 50 times in a game and expect to come away with the win. You're just not. That is absolutely foolish. And so when it comes to the entitlement, I mean, look at all the situations that have gone on with Jelani Tavai saying, telling Patriots fans to know their place. Dietrich Wise coming at fans again, or before Tavai, but coming at fans saying that that again, like just how we don't understand, right? Well, that was actually more Tavai, but needless to say, they were coming at fans. That's it. Dietrich Wise was the one who thinks we should be cheering them on no matter what. And to see some of the comments that I've received on my pushback on them, to see people be like, they risk their lives to play a game, folks, to play a game. Yes, it's a brutal game. It's a dangerous game. But if you want to sit there and tell me that these guys have no idea what they're getting themselves into and that they deserve all our praise and our love and support and admiration, well, then I'm sorry. That's just foolish. I mean, listen, if you're playing well, I will love you. No matter what. I mean, Mike Vrabel, great example. Like he played on 3 Super Bowl teams and went to another Super Bowl. I have wanted that dude back in the New England fold for a very long time, especially when he retired. I was upset that he got traded away. I was. But now to have him back, now to be in this situation again where he's here. He knows what it takes to win. He's seen what it takes to win. And he's not the type of guy that's going to be, all soft and cuddly and, Gerard Mayo-esque, like, I'm going to talk to them like men. No. Because, honestly, do a deep dive on that. Go back on Patriots teams when they've had the tough coach, the coach that will hold them accountable, versus the coach that's going to be all buddy-buddy, that's going to make it, let them run the show, do all that type of thing. Because, to be honest with you, it's not a good look for the Gerard Mayo-esque coaches. And listen, as I said last week, I truly hope that Gerard Mayo learns from his mistakes, goes out, and becomes a great head coach one day. I truly mean that. But when he walked in here, day one last year, in his introductory press conference, calling Robert Kraft thunder, saying that they're going to burn cash and end up not doing it. Needless to say, putting his foot in his mouth 1,000 times, going on EEI and saying that we're going to have more wins than the 2022 team. Again, and talking to players and saying how we're gonna speak to them like men. We're not going to talk down to them. Well, I'm sorry, but you know what? You need that. Because if you're going to sit there and just let the guys run the show and you're going to be all try to be buddy-buddy, it's like the buddy-buddy parenting, right? A lot of, you see a lot of parents want to be friends with their kids. Meanwhile, the kid is running the household. Can't have that. Parents got to know how to lay down the law. Head coaches got to know how to lay down the law. And that's what you saw with Bill Belichick, Bill Parcells, and hopefully, Mike Vrabel. He seems like that type of guy. And part of what makes me think that he is going to be like that and can be successful is certain things that he said in his press conference. Here's one of those.
We're going to earn the right to be here every day. We're going to remove entitlement from our football team.
Right there. The entitlement from the football team. And when you're looking at that face value, it's very easy to see it as the players. But I'm wondering, too, if there could be more to it. If there would be more to just the entitlement of the players, because as I've stated, the entitlement of the players has been atrocious. To see these guys thinking that they're, the kings of, the castle, and that they can do whatever they want. They can yell at us, the fans, to, say that, you don't know what it takes. You don't know the hours. Yeah, well, we kind of do. We kind of know the hours. We kind of know, what it takes. Maybe, sure, we're not well versed in how the plays are drawn up. Well, actually, not how the plays are drawn up, but like how they put the schemes, how they're coaching this, that, and the other. Sure, fine, I'll give you that. But you're still coming at us thinking that, oh, there's nothing that we know how. Like, we can't do this. We can't learn this. Well, I would beg to differ. I think, my path in football would be the quintessential story of, yeah, you can learn this. But got a comment from frequent commenter Sports Mom, who writes, looking forward to see what Vrabel can do for the Patriots. Let him run the team and fire Elliott Wolf. And yeah, I don't disagree with that. And that brings me back to my point of when he talks about entitlement, is it just the players, or is it the organization as a whole? Because when you want to look at the entitlement, look at the entitlement from Elliott Wolf. Look at what he's done and gone through, because he's been here for 5 years. He was a part of all the drafts that led up to this season. And that really makes me wonder, what has he done? Why is he still here? Because he was given sole credence to run the draft last season. And as I said last week, and I'm going to reiterate this because I don't think I can stress this point enough. It's that when people want to say that he deserves credit for, Drake Maye, I look at you like you have no idea what you're talking about. Because as I've stated, Drake Maye is the number 3 overall pick. You are nothing in this league without a quarterback. Yes, it's great to draft a top-tier offensive lineman in Joel Alt. Look at what he's done for the Chargers this season. He's been phenomenal. But also, they have a halfway decent quarterback, a guy who can actually play the game. Yes, he blew royally against the Texans, but look at, you want to know an example of a top 5 left tackle and choosing that over the quarterback? Cleveland Browns with Joe Thomas. Joe Thomas played every single snap, every single game that he did in his entire NFL career playing for the Browns. Look how that turned out for him. Did he even get into the playoffs? Why? Because they didn't have a quarterback. So Drake Maye is off the board. I do not give him credit for Drake Maye. Elliott Wolf is also the guy who decided to trade out of the second overall pick in the second round to the Chargers, who then took Ladd McConkey. And look at how he tore your ass up, right? Instead, we have Jalen Polk, who doesn't know how to stay on the field, and Javon Baker, who can't get on the field. Okay? Meanwhile, he still has a job. Oh, did I forget to say that he's also the one that hired Alex Van Pelt, that brought in a majority of the offensive staff because Gerard Mayo didn't know how to form relationships outside of New England and be able to say, hey, do you want, if I get the head coaching gig, which I have in my contract, would you want to work for me one day? Would you want to join my staff and we can, collaborate on offense, defense? Do you want to do that? No, he didn't want to. Because why do you think we had 12 offensive coordinators interview for the position, which most have gone on to say that the interviewing process was a joke, an absolute joke. They wanted to spend more time on who they were versus, I don't know, football, what you're hired to do. So it's really mind-boggling to me that these people in the front office think they're entitled to their job. Elliot Wolf especially. And Robert Kraft is up there too. Why? Because Robert Kraft is the one that put the team in this position. Think about it. In 2019, he had a decision to make. Well, actually, let's go back a little bit before that. After 2016, Belichick, to his failure, probably wanted to stick with Jimmy Garoppolo, in which Brady probably went to Kraft and said, get this guy off the team. I can't say that for certain. That's just the stories that I've heard. Regardless, something along those lines. Sure. Roll with me here. But Robert Kraft then went to Belichick and said, get Garoppolo out of here. Trade him. And why do I believe that was how it happened? Because Garoppolo allegedly the Patriots would have gotten one, if not two first-round picks from the Browns for Garoppolo. Instead, he sends them out to San Francisco for a second-round pick. Which, okay, so we'll start there. Then fast forward to 2020, Brady is walking out the door, and Robert Kraft decides to stick with Bill Belichick over Tom Brady, and look how that turned out. Brady goes on to win a Super Bowl in Tampa and then goes to the playoffs and should have won MVP at least one of those final 2 years. And then Belichick has got sole control of everything. He drafts the way he does. And then after the Indianapolis game in Germany, that's when Robert Kraft knew. Fast forward to letting him go. They put out the Dynasty documentary, which built Kraft's ego to then just dump on Belichick. Everything bad was all Bill. And then he, without even skipping a beat, hires Gerard Mayo and puts Elliot Wolf in the position that he's in. All because they didn't want to take too long. They didn't want to have this long interview process. They didn't want to go through the Rooney Rule, right? But, hey, look, they hired a minority as the head coach. So it's okay, right? It's okay because we didn't go through the Rooney Rule, but look who we hired. And again, I'm not condoning that. But it's just, really? You didn't do your due diligence by looking outside to then hire in. If they did that, I would have been totally fine with it. But they didn't. Then we have the season that we're in. To then fire said Gerard Mayo 90 minutes after the game, which is shocking. Yes, he should have been let go for a number of football-related reasons, but you didn't have the courage to do it the next day? Or not even courage. You didn't want to do it the next day, which to Gerard Mayo, hey, you know what? Just get the Band-Aid ripped off. So, I don't know. Maybe it worked out for him, but at the same time, it's still staggering that they did it 90 minutes after the game a couple Sundays ago. So, then who are the first two interviews that they had? Pep Hamilton and Byron Leftwich, which is insane to me. Two guys who have been OCs in this league who have also been out of the league for the last 2 seasons. And what? Why did you interview them first? Is it because it satisfied the Rooney Rule? That's what everyone's looking at. And that's what everybody in Park Avenue in New York is thinking about, meaning the football offices, but probably wondering, And the only thing they can do is, talk about it. They can't scold him because he satisfied the rule, just to then run through the interview with Mike Vrabel, run through the interview with Ben Johnson, to then hire Mike Vrabel. And listen, I am glad with Mike Vrabel as the hire. I am. But again, the Crafts skirted the legitimacy of their interview process. Again. Now, when looking for offensive coordinators, Mike Vrabel seems to want to go down the path of actually going through the process and taking several weeks to do it, which he mentioned on EEI, and McDaniels is the case. But in terms of the Crafts entitlement, that's really where it comes down to, is just how they can blatantly skirt the rules like the way they did, and think that they're doing just fine, right? Which by the letter of the law they were. But at the end of the day, even if they lost out on Mike Vrabel, okay, let's say that happened, God forbid, right? If they lost out on him, they would at least have gone through the process properly. And when I mentioned last week, or when I mentioned last week that Aaron Glenn, I think I said Aaron Giles last week, I meant Aaron Glenn, the DC for the Lions, when he turned down the interview for the Pats head coaching job that they put out, it was everybody and their mother, could see right through that nonsense, which the Crafts are so aware of. They are so aware of what you and I think of them, what the sports media thinks of them. Why do you think they're making this push so hard to get into the Hall of Fame while Robert Kraft can still breathe? I swear, they are so entitled because they're so weary of their public persona, in that they love to work behind the scenes. They just don't want to take the brunt of it. Like how when I call out John Henry for not spending a dime for the Red Sox. We said Bill Belichick for years, and that is this entitlement persona that Robert and Jonathan Kraft seem to have. They want to work behind the scenes. They want to, mingle and have their team behind the scenes, even though they will publicly say that we are the, what was Robert Kraft's word? But how they are looking over the team, but really the team belongs to New England. If it did, then they would do all these different things. So Mike Vrabel saying that he's going to get rid of the entitlement, I really hope he's true to his word, because the entitlement goes from the very top all the way down to the bottom, and including the players. That's what I mean by the bottom, is the players. And speaking of that, frequent commenter, not Doug, commenting, needs to start removing the entitlement from the wide receiver room. Absolutely. Again, Jalen Polk with all his, it's not even antics, because he has said he's got the best hands in the league, tends to drop the ball all the effing time, followed up by all his sneaky Instagram story posts where he's like, everybody hates me, but I'm going to come out stronger. Like all these little digs that I'm looking at going, dude, we don't even give you a second thought. Or no, the most hated man in the league. It's like, bro, we don't even give you a second thought. If you're going to post that you're the most hated man in the league, at least do something to earn that hatred. Because dropping the ball as a wide receiver, I think us as New England fans have seen that enough from Bill Belichick drafted wide receivers, and now Elliott Wolf drafted wide receivers, where We don't even care. We're just like, get off the field. They're throwing to Jalen Polk, and he drops it. Okay, that's his one target on the day. Perfect. We're not going to see him the rest of the game. Love it. Like, we don't hate you because you suck, because you dropped the ball. And then Javon Baker, who has probably improved throughout the season, but he still hasn't improved enough to get on the field. It's really asinine to see these guys. And KJ Osborne, he should have never even been here. Talk about a bum. Listen, I have no problem with these wide receivers and DBs, the diva positions, basically, coming out and acting, hey, I'm the best. No, I'm the best. No, I'm the best. I did like this, that, and the other. Cool. Fine. I got you. If you want to do it, can you just please back it up? Can you please back it up? Chad Johnson, when he played in Cincinnati, was he the best wide receiver during that era? Maybe not, but he was definitely a top 5 receiver, and he would show it, every Sunday in Cincinnati. Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, Steve Smith, one of the smaller receivers, but God, was he a beast in Carolina and Baltimore. And they knew how to get in your head. They knew how to talk the talk, walk the walk, back it up. So that's what I mean by entitlement. They backed it up. Whereas Javon Baker, Jalen Polk during the season, but Javon Baker before the season, man, they know how to talk. They just can't walk. Like, honestly. And then I got another comment. Steve Coakley. The Rooney Rule sucks. Steven, that's what I've been saying, man. That's what I've been saying. I've been saying the Rooney Rule is wildly outdated, and all it does is provide owners the opportunity to show how much it sucks. And Robert Kraft is primary example number 1 now with all of this. But has it worked for a few minority candidates? Absolutely. And I know everybody keeps going to Mike Tomlin as the number 1 guy for it working out. But at the end of the day, there are a lot more interviews that may look legitimate, i.e. Brian Flores interviewing with the Giants when he was the DC for the Patriots and he interviewed for the head coaching job of the Giants. Might have looked legitimate, but, the Maras knew who they wanted. They wanted Brian Daboll, hence the lawsuit that came about and from Flores and because Belichick texted Flores, not Daboll, the whole thing, which, people want to say that was a backhanded attempt from Bill to, to get, to just tear down the organization, whatever. I'm not 100% sure. Regardless, though, it was, again, some of these interviews may look legitimate, but they already know who they wanted. And that's what happened with the Crafts. And part of the reason why, you have to sit there and wonder, are they not firing Elliott Wolf yet, is because he has the power right now. He has the power. And actually, before I get to that, I do want to speak to I just want to show this clip from Teddy Bruschi because I love Bruschi. Bruschi's like a true football guy. And I would love to have him on this show one day. Teddy, please, Teddy, if you're watching, would love to have you on. But I think he put into perspective who Vrabel is and how he can rebuild this state of the New England Patriots on ESPN Sunday NFL Countdown. Take a listen.
I got to say something about my former team, the New England Patriots, who have been absolutely a mess the last couple years and how they've handled things. The only way to fix this is to hire Mike Vrabel. I'm telling you right now, a coach that could come in there and doesn't just lead men, but knows how to lead football players, knows how to reach football players, and can deal with that ownership, fix the organization, Robert and Jonathan Kraft, and hire Mike.
See, fixing the organization hopefully can come from Mike Vrabel, and I think we would all love to see that. I think that bringing Mike Vrabel in is the right decision, the right choice, and he has the ability now. The only other question is, though, who has the ability when it comes to this upcoming draft? Because when it comes to this upcoming draft, you have Elliott Wolf, who, as I tried to mentioned earlier, that Elliott Wolf is the guy. He's the pro personnel guy. Technically, without having the title, he's the GM. In which case, now that they're bringing in Vrabel, and this is the thing about Vrabel, where we all saw on the NFL draft a few years ago when the Titans traded A.J. Brown to the Eagles, and Mike was visibly upset, which I think he kind of, brushed off, but it was because they traded their best receiver after coming off a trip to the AFC Championship game. And so if Mike Vrabel does come in, who's going to have that personnel power? Because there's no way in hell that Elliott Wolf or that Mike Vrabel is going to have as much control as Bill Belichick did in the final years. But when it comes down to the 4th overall pick, and there's Abdul Carter and and Travis Hunter, right? Who's going to have the final say? Is it going to be Mike or is it going to be Wolf? If Wolf wants Hunter but Vrabel wants Carter, that's going to be a really interesting showdown. But also, Mike Vrabel has shown what he's been capable of over the years and shown how good he is at helping build a roster and get that roster to where it needs to go. In which case, I would think Vrabel went to the Crafts, and part of their negotiation was, I need to have the power. And if he has the power, step one is bringing in his guy, which he did. If, in case you didn't see, Ryan Coward, I think his name is, he was executive with the Giants, and the Giants released him, and now he's joining the Patriots as Elliott Wolf's number 2. So if he's Elliott Wolf's number 2 and Mike Vrabel is the guy, Elliott Wolf is in that middle world where he's got no idea. And to help illustrate the point, Adam Schefter was on the Pat McAfee show, and of course, the big question, who has the power? Take a listen to what Adam Schefter had to say about that.
Yeah, Wolf is just VP of player personnel.
Yeah, well, now he's got an assistant VP of player personnel, and Ryan Cowden.
So he's not even close to the GM.
So, yeah, but this guy's not
Vrabes
boss
gonna be a
either.
GM?
This dude's coming in.
Yeah, to work under him.
So these guys are working for Vrabes.
Yeah, so Vrabes.
Is that what's happening?
Yeah.
Vrabes is
the man.
Hell yeah.
Vrabes is the man. And so if Elliott Wolf is reporting to Mike Vrabel, I am with everybody who should know that Elliott Wolf is gone. But the funny part, too, is Mike Vrabel had a funny comment when it came to Elliott Wolf during his press conference. Here's a listen for that.
Describe what kind of players you want to wear a Patriot uniform to help you win as an organization.
Elliott's going to laugh. I'm going to say good ones. That's just an inside joke between him and I already.
It's an inside joke between him and, after negotiating a contract over the weekend. having the interview Thursday, interviewing Patriots, interviewing Ben Johnson on Friday, to then over the weekend already have this inside joke. Like, come on. He says we want good players. Elliot Wolf's going to laugh, but I want good ones. And he said that knowing full well what he meant by that. Looking at the state of the Patriots team and knowing that and seeing how the state of the Patriots team is a cluster from the organization on down. And that's a big part of it. A big part of it is the fact that you need to have good players on the field. If you don't have good players, you're going to suck, which is what the Patriots did. Were they good enough to get at least 3-4 more wins? Of course. But that's any NFL team. Look at how many teams this season have won 15 or have won 12 or more games. It's wild. I swear, there is a massive drop. There are not many in-between teams. There is the top teams, 12 or more wins, and then the bottom teams, 5 or less wins, honestly. And so, as I see, it is coming out of a report coming out is that Robin Glazier is no longer with the Patriots organization, which is crazy. And not for nothing, I am so here for it to not have her be a part of the team anymore, because lest we forget, she was part of the fiasco that Robert Glazier not being a part of the Patriots organization is excellent news for the Pats, because she was part of the fiasco of interviewing all the offensive head coaches, wanting to talk about everything but the job that they wanted to do. She was also the one who, not for nothing, I thought they blew her up. They tried to make her something that she was not by having in the documentary about Spygate, where if you remember that documentary, she's walking down the hallway, all dramatic, like with swinging the hammer back and forth as she's walking. She's strutting her stuff down. One Patriot plays in the building with that hammer. And we're all sitting there going, come on. What are you doing? Really? You want to get praise for smashing tapes? It was so dumb. And we knew that she wasn't a football person. And you know what? Who else knew? Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick knew that Robin Glazier was not a football person, and that is why he hated her. He could not stand Robin Glazier, and it showed. I mean, look at his talk on the Pat McAfee show. Not this past week, the week before. Talking about how saying Robert, Jonathan, and Robin Glazier, always trying to mention her name because she thought that she had more power and knew more than Bill Belichick did. Now, maybe not in terms of football and scheming and drafting players or whatnot, but again, with Bill Belichick talking the way he does about Robin Glazier, and whenever he talks about ownership with Robert and Jonathan, he always throws Robin Glazier's name out there like that. I don't know about you, but that is pretty telling. And trust me, Bill Belichick is one petty SOB. And so if he's throwing her name out there like that, unprompted, and always saying Robert, Jonathan, and Robin Glazier like that, then yes, then she is a part of it. She is a cancer, and good riddance. See ya. Don't need you anymore. We need to strip down this organization, top to bottom, I don't mind leaving the Crafts up there. Okay? I do want to say I don't mind leaving the Crafts as the owners. All right? I still think that they are a good ownership group. I know you might be, turning your heads, might be a little confused and saying, what are you talking about? You keep bashing them. I mean, you're right. I do bash them. But when all is said and done, if I had to take Robert Kraft or John Henry as the owner of my teams, I would take Robert Kraft all day long. Yes, I understand he doesn't spend. He doesn't like to spend. He loves the business deals just as much as John Henry does. But at the same time, I will give Robert this much credit. And I can't believe I'm about to say it because he will not stop saying it. But the credit that I will give Robert over John Henry is that the Kraft family are fans. They want to win. They do not accept 4-13 seasons 2 years in a row. And yes, Robert was the one who put this team in the situation that it is in. He could have said to Bill when Brady wanted to leave, he could have told Bill to go kick rocks and that Tom is staying, not you. But he didn't. And yet, that's why I still would prefer the Crafts as my ownership group over John Henway and the Fenway Sports Group. But this organization needs a reset button. They need a reset button, and it starts by getting Robin Glazier out of the organization, which they did. Good for them. If that is true, my God, I am jumping up and down for joy. Let's go. Celebrate, baby. Come on. That's what we need. We need a restart, baby. And that is the top priority. Top down. We get rid of Robert Glazier. Elliot Wolf is next. Mike Vrabel takes over. He holds these players accountable for their actions on and off the field. We got a brand new team, baby. You know what that means? We are so back. The Patriots are back. Welcome to New England, Mike Vrabel. Let's go. We're partying up in here. Yeah, that's right. It is all good feels in Foxborough right now. Absolutely. It is good. It is good. This is going to be the turnaround right here. This is the start. Right here, right now. We got a lot of good things, I think, coming our way. It's going to take a while. All right? I'm not expecting a 12-win season next year. I'm not expecting a 10-win season. But my standards are a little higher right now. My standards are at least 7 wins. And I'll talk more about that next week, going through the Patriots schedule and all of that. But we're going to be moving on now to the Boston Bruins, where a lot of information has been coming out between Brad Marchand and David Pasternak, possibly butting heads. Now, as we all have seen, these Boston Bruins have played awful this year. They have not looked like themselves. They really haven't. It's been tough to watch. This team just is playing uninspired. We got Nikita Zadorov, Elias Lindholm to secure up that number one center position, and just everybody has been awful. And then, so that led to the firing of Jim Montgomery, which I said here on this show at the time, and I still stand by it, that Jim Montgomery, I don't think deserved to get fired. And I'm not saying that because of what he did the past 2 seasons, but I'm saying that because the players just, they looked uninspired. They didn't look right. And it looked like everything Jim Montgomery was trying to say and get them to do was going in one ear and out the other. And that makes for a poor team and a poor performance, which they were in. They were in a massive rut. They fire him. Joe Sacco comes in. They get a little bit of a jolt, and then they start to taper off again. Well, reports came out during their 6-game losing streak that Rich Keefe of WEEI, who has a very good, seems to have very good sources on the inside with the Boston Bruins, made this report just a couple of days ago saying how Pasta and Marchand were at each other's throats, that Pasta did not want to play on the same line as Marchand, and going through this, it just seemed crazy, right? It seemed crazy, but with everything that was going on with this team, there was some kind of, well, maybe you could see that. You could see that happening, right? Well, unfortunately, for Rich Keefe, Brad Marchand came out and vehemently denied those reports, to the point where he even said that Rich Keefe should get fired for his position because of the misreporting that had happened. Now, when it comes to the report, it's one of those things where you're like, there's no way. But then you look at the way the team has played this year, and you kind of seen it, and you're like, well, maybe. Like, I'm not saying that it's true, but I'm also not saying that it's not true. And so with that being said, you have this dichotomy going back and forth, right? And the funny part was, now everything seems to be coming out of the woodwork, where the Bruins have won 2 games where against teams that are much better than them. The Panthers and the Lightning. They played a very strong game against the Panthers, except they nearly blew it, which it pissed me off because Pasta shot the puck all the way down the ice. It hit off the outside of the goalpost and went behind the red line to make it icing. And again, comment down below. I thought if it hit the goalpost, that nullified the icing completely. It doesn't matter if it goes behind the red line, goes in, or bounces straight back out. Comment below. If I'm wrong, I'll admit it. But then, of course, the Panthers tie it up with 1.2 seconds left on just a floater right above Swayman's head, only for the hockey gods to kind of say, no, the Bruins need to win this game, so we'll give it to them. Because Pasta's at the blue line and passes the puck to Elias Lindholm right at the bottom of the red line, and it bounces off Reinhardt's stick and just somehow goes into the back of the net. Like, again, you want to talk about puck luck, which is something that when playoff time happens, puck luck is the be-all, end-all, right? It's all about puck luck in playoff hockey. But that right there was the definition of puck luck, because 9 times out of 10, that puck bounces and it just stays on the ground, or and it goes right to the goalie. He makes the kick pad save, no problem, no big deal. Or it goes through and it gets to Lindholm, whatever. But as I'm shouting at my TV to effing shoot the puck, because it was under 5 seconds and they were going from the red line to the blue line, across the blue line. You're like, guys, what are you doing? And then, of course, Pasta wants to pass it back to the bottom of the red line and hopefully get the shot off. But all of a sudden, it just bounced and flooded right underneath Bobrovsky's arm or right over his shoulder, and somehow went in. It was wild. I had no idea what the hell happened. But, hey, it was a heck of a thing to see. Glad the Bruins got the win. And then they played, very well against Tampa last night. kicked their ass 6-2. And I'll admit, I thought John Cooper was a little overzealous there with on the power play pulling his goalie. But again, it was something that they needed. They did well. And I don't want to, and I'm not going to be the guy that's going to, poke at the Marchand Pasta relationship just a couple of days later, because I know, I've seen a couple of Boston radio shows talk about how when Marchand scored his goal, which was just classic Marchand to make it 3-0 last night, he just fist bumped David Pastrnak. Take that for what you will. I'm not going to be the one to, read into it or anything like that, but take it for what you will. The other thing too is when it comes to Marchand's comments on having Rich Keefe fired over that, I think that's childish. I think that's a little too much. I mean, listen, it's a story that I agree with some outside perspectives where they're saying how it's extremely tough to prove that type of relationship just going extremely sour like that. And it is. And that's why I have no problem, saying, I'm not 100% sure Marchand, Pastrnak are they really? Now, could they still be best friends, which Brad Marchand claims? Could they still be best friends, yet be butting heads, yet having Marchand call out Pastrnak for his poor play on defense and Pasta taking offense to that, yet they're still best friends? Of course. That's what happens. That's what it means to hold people accountable. To say to your best friend, who is one of your closest friends, saying, bro, you suck, okay? Get your head out of your ass and stop playing better. And then the friend can turn and be like, I'm not. You're the one that's playing. So back and forth. And again, they're playing for 82 games. It's a long season. But it's a situation that, again, with how this team has been playing, with how they have been, portrayed with Marchand as the captain. Again, I'm a big Marchand fan. I'm a big Pastrnak fan. I love these guys. They're fun to watch. When they're on, man, they are on. But here's the other thing. There's nobody coming up to help. The Bruins organization hates throwing the young kids in the lineup. The only reason why they did it against Tampa last night was because they had nobody else. They had a massive a bunch of guys go on the IR and long-term IR with Lindholm. So it's definitely one of those things where it's like, listen, I wouldn't be surprised. But I am also of the mindset of if you can convince some of these top tier players to get rid of their no trade clause, and you could get some first round picks back, you could get some young NHL talent back, then I might do it, because this roster is fleeting. There is not much left in the tank with these guys. That's what it feels like. And it's not good. It's not good. And you can't, there's too much room for error. I've been trying to get rid of Brandon Carlo for a long time. I've wanted, I got no problem trade. I wanted Swayman gone. I didn't even want him when he was a restricted free agent. If he was going to ask for that money, which he did end up getting, or at least signing for, which I don't even know what he originally wanted, but it was probably stupid money. And granted, he played arguably his best game of the season last night, but he held out in training camp, which that could have caused a rift in the Bruins locker room, which is part of the reason why they sucked. It's just, there's a lot going on with this team right now that just doesn't seem to fit. The pieces of the puzzle aren't fitting properly. And again, talking about top down, I have said it from day one. It was a massive, massive, massive mistake for the Bruins to let Bruce Cassidy walk and stick with Sweeney and Neely. Now, if you want to keep Neely, fine. But Sweeney, at least, needs to go. He's done a lot for this team. He's made some really good acquisitions in terms of the pro personnel. But it is very tough to rebuild it, to keep going with a team when you have no future. And we don't even know about our future pretty much. Fabian Lysell, Georgi Merkelov, how often have these guys been in the NHL? Right? How often? Maybe 5 games combined between the two of them? How are you going to tell? They're killing it down in Providence. So here's an idea. Let's just throw them out there. You literally have nothing to lose. Well, actually, if we don't make the playoffs, then yeah, Sweeney has a lot to lose, because when the Bruins don't make the playoffs, that's when GMs get fired. But so that's kind of the plan. That's probably why the Bruins organization hates playing rookies. They hate it. And I think it's stupid. You have to have that balance. You have to play these guys. And I want Fabian Lysell to taste NHL. I want Georgi Merkelov to taste the NHL. Keep Patra up because he's killing it down in Providence. Yeah, he's been doing great in Providence. And then, oh my gosh, his assist last night to open up the scoring for the game, unreal. The patience that he had to wait out, I want to say it wasn't Hedman, the defender, whoever it was for Tampa, to wait him out, to then pass it in front of Vasilevsky over to Frederick for the easy tip-in. I was blown away. Talk about just a great play from the rookie, or he should be a rookie. Again, young buck, from the young buck there. And so just a couple more comments, another lost soul. What does everyone think about Robert Glazier being gone? I already made my point there. And then not Doug. Hopefully it's Vrabel. Sports Mom. At least the Bruins beat up 2 Florida teams. Are things looking up? I'm not sure if they're looking up, but what I can say is that with Rich Keefe's comments, might have been that extra jolt they need to get through the next 10 games. And then once those 10 games hit, they might go back down again. Like, that's all this team has been playing off of right now, is just jolt, 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 right? They start off the year like crap. They fire Montgomery. They play better. They go back to sucking. And then Rich Keefe, and now they've won 2 straight and moving on. And then Sports Mom also says, get rid of Sweeney. That's right. Get rid of Sweeney. Like, again, he's part of the issue now. You've gotten rid of everybody else. There's no Chara. There's no Bergeron. There's no Cassidy. There's no DeBrusque. It's Marchand, Pasta, and Sweeney. And if we have to trade Pasternak and Marchand, give me the return that we get, and I might be interested in that. And then the last thing I want to talk about is the Celtics. The Boston Celtics right now are playing like the Boston Celtics of every year but last season. Why do I say that? They're playing with their food. They are attempting some of the most 3-point attempts in league history right now. If they keep this track up, they are on pace to attempt more 3-pointers by 4 extra shots. 4. They currently have 49.4 3-point attempts per game. The most that has ever come out, or the most any team has done for an entire season, is 45.4, which was the 2018-2019 Houston Rockets at 45.4. And so, and yet, and again, they're playing with their food. They are currently 6 games out of the Eastern Conference #1 seed. You know, they have lost 5 of their last 11 games. It has been just a terrible, terrible, terrible season for them. And again, they still have they only have 11 losses. It's not the end of the world. They're 28-11. I get it. It's not the end of the world. Yes, I might sound like Mr. Doom and Gloom right now, but what makes me sound doom and gloom is their effing stats. Like, look at this. And I'm sorry for the cutoff there, but so this is the NBA team leaders in 3-point stats, okay? 3-point stats. You have the field goals made, the amount of attempts, and the percentage. So on the left-hand side, you have number 1 through number 5 in terms of 3-point field goals per game. So the Celtics make 17.9 threes per game. Okay? Then the middle, you have 3-point attempts. As I mentioned, they have 49.4 3-point attempts. And the next closest this season is the Bulls at 43.7. All right? And even at 43.7, the Bulls are currently would have the fourth most all time in terms of 3-point attempts. And then this is the kicker. So the Celtics number one in terms of 3-pointers made and 3-pointers attempted. Their percentage of that makes them rank 15th. 15th. The Cavs, Bucks, Nuggets, T-Wolves, Bulls, top 5. The Celtics are 15th. Middle of the pack. That is why it drives me nuts to watch this team play. Because when you're attempting almost half, if not all your shots from 3, and you're middle, you're not the best. If you were the best, then I would be all for it. Well, not for it, obviously, but I would be a heck of a lot easier on them if that's what they wanted. But this is what bothers me about them and about the analytics, is that they are a team that keeps saying time after time after time, it's all about the analytics. Joe Mazzulla winning an NBA title goes on to say it's all about expected outcome. Expected doesn't mean is reality. Expectation does not equal reality. And so when they throw up, let's round up, 50. When they throw 53 pointers up a game and they only make 17 of them, wouldn't you look at that as a data analyst, as a math person, as a nerd, and say to yourself, 17 for 50 isn't good, especially when you're taking 90 to 100 shots a game. I am losing a lot of shots based on my 3-pointers, my 3-point percentage. Maybe we should go for the higher percentage shots, which are in the paint. Wouldn't that be the easiest? Wouldn't that? Doesn't that sound like a logical solution that any logical person, you don't even have to be a nerd to understand that. But no, they are dying on that hill. They are living by the 3 or die by the 3. That's it. That's this team in a nutshell. And the sad part is Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown are a hell of a lot more talented to be able to drive to the rim, get the foul, get the tough bucket, shoot the shots from the paint, fadeaways, you name it. They are so much more gifted and so much more talented. But this offense is holding them back. and they're playing with their food. And it's something that I've been against for a very long time. And this is before the Celtics are the current Celtics. You know, when Golden State was throwing up all these threes per game, when they were, and it was being evident that a lot of other teams are doing the exact same thing, including the Celtics. I was the first person against that, or at least one of the first people, I should say, because it's not basketball. It's, shooting 53s a game is not basketball. Going for it every single fourth down when you're in the red zone, or when you're in the red zone, field goal range, or even at your own 20, every single fourth down is not football. Worrying too much about spin rate in baseball, or, having to hit home runs when facing a shift versus hitting it the opposite field is not baseball. It's asinine to me that when I see stats like this, that sure, we've made the most threes. We've made 18 threes per game, but we're also taking 50 threes just to make 18. I'm sorry. It is not worth it. It is not worth the effort. Go get the higher percentage shots. Is it that hard to understand? I guess it is, because they still are doing it. They refuse to change. And that's kind of the beauty of sports, is when you think about it, sports have their ebbs and flows. They go up and down. You have the West Coast offense dominating the league one year. Then you have the run game dominating. You have centers dominating the game in basketball for a few years. Then it becomes more of the point guard. Then it becomes the power forward. Then it becomes like it ebbs and flows, right? There are differences, and a lot of the best coaches who coach for a very long time have learned to adapt. They have learned that it takes learning those ebbs and flows and learning what they are good at and what they need to learn and what they need to know now in order to survive and stay on and continue to have all this success, on top of course, having great players. But that's where the issue lies, when you have these nerds who, I'm sorry, they just don't get it. They are rigid. They are stuck. They are like, nope. You gotta take all these threes. Got to take all these threes. Got to take all these threes. Baseball. It's all about war. It's all about war plus this plus extra. Blah, blah, blah. Like, it's, to them, it's all about numbers. And I'm sorry to burst your bubble for the 1 millionth time on this show, but sports are not numbers. Sports are played by humans. They are played by flawed human beings that make mistakes, that can rise to the occasion in clutch moments, and can also fall in those clutch moments and not succeed. But when you break down sports and are saying that sports are played by numbers, get out. Get out. You have no place for sports. Sorry if that's a little harsh, but if you think sports should be played by numbers and not played by humans, then go start a robot league and teach robots how to play and see how that goes. Because you know what? No one's going to watch it. It's more fun. It's more exciting to watch when you don't know what's going to happen. When you don't know if this human is going to be able to rise to the occasion in the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs, the bases loaded, you're down 3, it's game 7. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen when you have the ball with 13 seconds left, the clock is winding down, and you're going one-on-one against your arch rival in the NBA Finals, and you're down by 1. You have to make this shot in order to win the game. What's going to happen? Because clutchness is what makes sports fun. The stories that come from sports is what makes it fun and what makes it entertaining. You know, there's a reason why everybody has all these, subscriptions to Netflix, Paramount, Peacock, Hulu, Disney, ESPN for that matter. But Max, HBO Max, because they provide entertainment. They provide scripted stories that people are interested in watching, that people are interested in seeing. But when it comes to sports, it's unscripted. It's perfect. Sports is one of the few things in this world that flawed human beings play, coach, ref, run. It's all unscripted, and that's what makes it beautiful. That is what makes it beautiful, is because you have no idea what's going to happen. Wedding Crashers has a script to it. You know how it's going to end when you turn it on for the billionth time. Superman has a script to it. You know what's going to happen when you've watched it for the billionth time. Sports, every game is new. Every game is fresh. It doesn't matter if it's game 1, game 82, game 18, game 162, or game 7 of the World Series, game 7 of the NBA Finals, game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals, or the Super Bowl. It doesn't matter. Every single game is new. And that's how it's going to stand. And that's why analytics drives me up a wall, is because these people have infiltrated this perfect world that is run and played by imperfect people. And they are looking at it and saying, no, we can make this perfect. Sorry to burst your bubble. It's perfect the way it is. You can't make it perfect. You're not going to find the perfect player, the perfect head coach, the perfect owner. It's not going to happen. But you can do with what you have. You can do the best you can. You don't need all the stats in the world to tell you that that kid can play, that dude can play. You don't. You just have to watch with your eyes. That's it. It's not hard. But unfortunately, when I see stats like this, it breaks my heart. So that is why I continue to sit here and fight, because these nerds need to go. These stat geeks need to go. If you love stats and you want to talk, if you want to talk about the stats, great, go for it. But in terms of picking players and saying that this guy is great based on the statistics, that's not how it works. You can tell the statistics help. They help build your case. They help build your argument. But you also got to watch how they play. There's a lot more to sports than just looking at the stats. And don't forget, Pete, you can manipulate your stat. You can manipulate stats to fit your narrative. You can. That's how it works. That's what politicians do. That's what everybody does. But when you watch the game, when you see it for yourself, you instinctively know that you're either watching good play, or you're watching greatness. So that's what I'm going to leave you guys here with tonight. Thank you so much for tuning into the Boston Sports Summit. It has been a privilege to be hosting this show. We're coming up on our 1-year anniversary, so stay tuned for that. And again, I truly just want to thank you. I can't, do this without you guys. So if you wouldn't mind just showing a little love, please send a like, share, subscribe. Please follow me on all my social media platforms. Don't forget to, if you're going to follow, please follow me, but also follow the Grid Network. That's where we run our show every single Wednesday. We go live at 7:05. And then, the Grid Network also has a great host of shows, a lot of great guys talking about sports, because at the end of the day, we all love sports, and that's why we do it, right? So want to thank you guys again. I truly want to say God bless, glory to God for everything that, he bestows upon me. And so thank you very much. And so this is the Boston Sports Summit presented by the Grid Network. I am your host, Tim Barnard. I will catch you guys next week. See you then.